So probably the best thing about Tableau is that most of the time it's pretty good at reading our minds. It kind of intuits what we want. It gives us what we want before we ask, and that is just so convenient. It's really what drives Tableau's use case. It helps people who don't really completely know what they're asking for, like close the gap between, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. Thank you so much. That's awesome. And when Tableau does not effectively read our minds, it's kind of a pain. So the other place this has come up for us is level of detail expressions, where if we're doing a particular computation and Tableau is not, it's at a level of detail that's not the same as that of the view, we have problems. And fixing those problems can just be a complete pain in the neck. The other, the kind of geospatial equivalent of this is it's not quite the same, but it's the same in spirit. It's like, what happens when these locations that it's using for states or for cities or for places just aren't quite right? Like if I want them, or if I need these things to be slightly different. For instance, like I will do a silly example, but like these are the centroids of these states, meaning the geographic center. But what if I wanted to put these things at the actual capitals themselves? Like for instance, Boston's right now is right in the middle, which is near Worcester. Massachusetts is near Worcester, but I want to put it in Massachusetts. New York is probably pretty close. It's in Albany. Chicago should be, I'm sorry, I keep saying these things. Illinois should be in Chicago. Where is it? Is it true? I'm actually not sure. But regardless, we're going to move these points around to the right place. So to do this, I've created a folder, and it doesn't matter where that folder is, but it has to be a folder, okay? And inside that folder, I've made a CSV, so a comma separated value. And this comma separated value has a column called whatever you want. Like here, it's called capital. And then you have to have a latitude and a longitude column. So for each one of the states here, and I'm going to reassign the state value, okay? And so I've reassigned the state value. For Alabama, I'm no longer going to use the default latitude and longitude. I'm going to use the latitude and longitude of its capital. For Alaska, I'm no longer going to use the default latitude and longitude. I'm going to use the latitude and longitude of its capital and all of this. So to get these going here, I need to, and this is the bad part about Canvas Studio, I need to go up to map in the ribbon and say geocoding, import custom geocoding. So it's map, geocoding, import custom geocoding, and you should get a figure that looks like this, or a pop-up window that looks like this. So to do this, you need to point the finder, the file dialog here to the appropriate place. This is my state capitals, and hit import. This takes a little second as it re-indexes everything. It's going to say, okay, I'm like looking through a whole bunch of stuff here, and I'm seeing what has to change and what can stay the same. Like what are you actually editing here, and blah, 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 blah. Whole bunch of stuff. And then the kind of confusing thing is at the very end, nothing has happened. So what do we do? All right, so you go to state, which is the one that we wanted to change, right? Because I want to change where the bubble of each state is located. And I right click. I say geographic role. Right now it is a state or province, which is the default here. It's the default one that R automatically uses, but I want to change this to capital. When I do change it to capital, notice that, for instance, Massachusetts has moved to Boston, New York has moved to Albany, Chicago or Illinois has gone to, it has to do, maybe it's Peoria. I forget what the capital of Illinois is. California has gone to Sacramento, and so on and so on and so on. Texas, everything is moved around. And in fact, if you want to confirm that this happened, you can just do and undo this command to see how everything's moving. Obviously, this isn't such a big deal in all cases, but the reason I'm bringing it up is because when it is a big deal and you do need it to be right, it needs to be right. Like you can't have it a little bit off. And there are cases where we're going to have to override the default behavior of Tableau. I hate to say it, but this one took me a long time. I had never had to use custom geocoding before, and it's very, very particular. So be careful with the details. You need to have a column that has a name like capital. You need to have the name of the thing that you're overriding, like the states, like all of the states. And then you need to have new latitude and longitude with columns called latitude and longitude, case sensitive, so that Tableau can basically knit all those connections together. Again, this is one of the things that if you were doing this in Python or R, you would be able to make these connections yourself at a very low level and make sure that this is all correct. The issue with Tableau is because it's trying to gloss over so many of the details and make sure that everybody can use this tool regardless of proficiency with code, we don't really get to operate at this level. So I was getting just so many errors of like unknown error, unknown error. It's like, it's not an unknown error. If I could look at the code, I would know what it was. Again, it's like the best part and worst part about Tableau, but it does work great. You just have to be a little bit careful about the formatting and making sure that you know exactly what you mean. But anyway, hope this is helpful, and more to soon come.